Hello, everybody. Happy February 23rd. I always doubt myself. Do I really know what today's date is? I don't know. So, hello. It is so good to see you here today. I've got lots of fun things to show you. I've had a very productive week. It's like I'm finally getting my act together, which is nice. And then we're going today to actually start on our thin strip landscape. And I'm excited about that. I forgot to tell you last week, but February 18th was our 8th anniversary of this channel. So, happy anniversary to us. I can't believe it's been 8 years. But then other times I think, oh yeah, a lot has happened in this 8 years. I glanced at the first show, and it was a hoot because I was so trying to be so proper, and it's just not who I am. And I tell you what, I became much happier with it doing this channel when I just relaxed and said, take it easy, girlfriend. So because that's just who I am, and it's so much easier to be yourself, isn't it? So anyway, I just wanted to show you the necklace I put on today. It is a paper bead necklace that I made, and I actually did a Zentangle on a piece of paper, colored it in with nice markers, and it has a lot of pink in it. But I put it on today because with the yellow and stuff, it shows up, because I had a different pink necklace on that kind of blended. And in fact, the necklace I had on was this one, which tends to blend in, but this one will get your attention. And I like it because it was free. Hi, Charlene Lawson. And Charlene, our Bonnie did win the UFO um, contest, but you were close second. So that's wonderful. And Bonnie got a gift certificate to her favorite fabric store. And the last I heard has already ordered fabric, and hopefully it'll be there soon. And hi, Cheryl. Let me see who's here right now. I'm excited. And I've been down here in the sewing room since 1:30 or so. I thought I would get more done on my thin strip landscape. But, you hear about writers who kind of get a writer's block when they start a new project. Now, if I'm going to cut out a fabric for a piece thing, that's not a problem. I'm a good starter. But it's when it's artistic and I've got to figure out where do I want to go with this, I will drag my feet, and oh, it drives me nuts. Mitty is here. This is so great. Charlene was the first person here. Mayor, hi, sweetheart. I was on time too. How about that? I got to listen to my wait, don't tell me. And that's always a joy. And then just be calm, relaxed, and centered before I started on. So I'm going to go back. I used to always get down here an hour at least or more before the show. And that way I can be centered. So I'm going to do that more. But, oh, it's so good to see. And in Mayor, I'm going to email you. Here is my email address, Mayor. And I need to get your address for the prize, but don't put it on here. Our time to quilt at twc.com. I'm not sure if I have your email, so I'm putting that email on there. And just send me an email with your address. Don't put it on here. And that way I can get your patterns out. I know I said I was going to mail the patterns this week, but we had some of that unusual weather. So we had snow, we had some ice for a couple of days. I will get them mailed out this week. Unless, who knows nature, what other event nature can throw our way. So, okay, so Mare's here. Marcia, I have I have want to make sure that I always thank Marcia for being here, for being one of our moderators, and for making people feel so welcome. And sometimes I get busy and distracted. And as soon as I click off, I think, oh, I should have thanked Marcia more. But Marcia, please know what you mean to us and how special you are to our group. So, okay. So let me see. Debbie is here. Hi. You remembered. Yay. I know. Well, I had forgotten to put it in the calendar so you didn't get a little notice like, hey, she's got a show this week. So I got that back on the calendar. I forget who told me. I think it was Melanie who said it's not on the calendar. So, oh, it's so good to see all of you. And I hope you're doing well. And Debbie, I tried to say I'm going to try not to talk about politics and everything, but that might go out the window because someone's approval rating is really tanking. And so then I know that more of us are feeling the same way. So, anyway, and I heard what somebody is doing what we wanted them to know. We never heard about gutting all of our government and taking control by themselves of everything. What we heard is day one, they were going to bring prices down. Well, they went up 3% last month. So how's that working for us, So anyway, but I'm going to try to be a little restrained because this is our happy place. This is our pet place to play. So, okay, it is so good. And Charlene, so good too. Oh, she's in that warm state of Florida. So, Marcia's snow is melting. Good. Marcia, I still have a picture you took, I think, from your back window of snow in Omaha, and I still enjoy seeing that. All right, everybody. Yes, wouldn't it? There's our other intrepid moderator, Miss Jo Sows, who I love her energy. She has great energy. Ah, yep. Debbie has made 2 quilt tops avoiding the news. I still do that. The only thing I will do is I get the Washington Post in my email. I'll read until it makes me feel anxious. The moment it makes me feel anxious, that's it. I'm done. So, if these protests become if they really stick and I want some of the people who actually voted for this person to get out and protest, and when they do, I'll join them. So that's what we're gonna do. Oh my gosh, my sweetie, my daughter and her amazing boyfriend Andy are in the house. That is so exciting. Yes, I've been doing really good. We don't watch news. We just don't. But if I read, I try to just kind of keep up with how bad it really is getting. And honestly, somebody has been golfing 1/3 of the days of the term, the presidency so far. So for 1/3 of the time, they've been elsewhere in Florida or wherever, which is great. But I don't remember voting for Elon Musk. And just want to say, he needs to get away. He needs to get out of there. But okay, let's go back to our happy place. There we go. Back to our happy place. All right. So, it's so good to see you all. But Josos, thank you so much for being there. It does feel like family, doesn't it? I love that about everyone. So, I have been a busy, busy girl. Okay. Let me see. So we just had our 8th anniversary here. And the patterns that you won will be mailed out this week. And I am curious. I'm not sure now. I'm kind of leaning away from it. I was going to ask you for hints about what to do for my sparrow quilt border. But you know how I told you I want to do another one? I was kind of thinking. Oh, and don't forget Cheryl. Cheryl Hogan is here. And Mitty and Mary. Oh, gosh. And Mare and Mary are here. Bonnie's here. Yay. So, Bonnie, don't forget that Bonnie wrote a great article that's on our group's IO about how does she keep up and manage and what she likes about doing all of the activities. She has been a quilt tester for online magazine. She does a lot of block of the month for people, block exchanges. And I said, you know, what is that like? And she wrote a great article. It's on our site. Make sure you check it. And if you don't, oh, Pat is here too. I am loving it. Oh, Diana's Sewing Adventures is here. Hi, sweetheart. It is so good to see you. Oh, God. Love the quilt with the circles. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you what I've been doing. Because, you know, I've been very sleepy lately. I think it's the weather. But with Mark retiring, and I'm going to write my kids um, a little email to kind of tell them what the process of him retiring has been. But the upside is it's really fun now. I feel like I've got my best friend to play with anytime, all the time. We do silly, fun things like, why don't we eat dinner for lunch and then just have snacks in the evening? Or we sometimes stay up till really late. And the other night we had invited all the dogs into bed with us. So hopefully they would let us sleep as long as possible. But it's just like we invent little adventures, you know, like what are we going to do today? So it's really fun. But communication is so important because sometimes I get tired of soccer that's always on or World War II documentaries. So we kind of had to learn that give and take of, you know, or just me having or him having to have a little quiet time. It's like, okay, I'm going to go in my quiet place now. But it's a lot of fun. So I'm going to write to the girls because it's been quite an adventure. And I just saw Joe's, you're right, Joe. I'm very fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate. I've had a lot of rough times in my life, and I feel like that I believe in karma because finally I'm at such a good place. So, okay. Oh, what's with Diana? Let me see. You've been laid up for months. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry about that. Oh, I certainly hope you feel better and feel strong again soon. Goodness, goodness. We will keep you close to our heart. We'll tuck you in and keep you safe and warm and thought of. You had a total knee replacement on your right knee. Wow, wow. Well, do the therapy or whatever they recommend because I've had people say it's changed their life. So hang in there, sweetheart. Oh, I'm glad to see you here. This is the place to come. If you need a little brightening up, if you need a buddy, if you need a place to just complain and have somebody hear you, we're a community here. We're not just a quilt site. We like to be a community first. All right, so let me show you what I've been working on this week. Oh, and I forgot to bring something down. I'll have to remember to tell you. I got all of my birdies done. All of my birdies. And I think it was 24 birdies. And luckily, I got the I had run out of the background fabric, and luckily I got some new fabric. All right, what I was going to ask you guys about, I have to do a border. I'm going to do a narrow border that is like the sashing here with the little pink cornerstones. I'm going to do that all the way around because I do. In fact, you can see the top where I did it. So I'm going to do down the sides, see up the top where I did it, down the sides and everything. Then I was going to do background color border. I was trying to think, on the border, what if I did some applique tree branches and some applique leaves? The only problem I have with that is the colors are so subdued. Then I thought, well, what colors would it would be introducing new colors. And I'm not too sure about that. One thing I thought about, I'm probably going to make a nice 5-inch border to go all the way around. One of the things I thought about is use thread when I'm quilting and quilt tree branches and leaves, and maybe do them in a soft color that so that it kind of blends, but it stands out just enough you can see the tree limbs and leaves. So I'm trying to decide. If you have an opinion, please share it with me. And yeah, and they were just going to have a smaller border, but I want it to have a little more. It's such a busy center that you need a space for a transition. And then the other thing I've been doing is I put together my stenciled, I put together my rainbow stencil. And I remember I used the little cardstock pictures of the blocks to decide where to put them. Well, it didn't help me as much, but what I did do is I decided to lay them out in diagonal color rows. So I have a row of red, then a row of green, then blue, then yellow, and then yellow became a yellow and orange row down here, and here's the blue, and so you can see the purple as it goes down. But I've got to tell you, Mark and I love this quilt. It's so different. It's so distinctive. And the colors are just pure primary colors. And I love this quilt because what I did is I bought some inexpensive stencils like this, inexpensive stencils. Then I took white paint that was kind of thin, so I thickened it with baking soda, which thickened it. Then I used a sponge brush. I laid the stencil on the fabric and then kind of positioned several fingers to hold it in place, and then rubbed the thickened paint over the stencil, and look what it did. And so what I did is used the same pattern to make the opposite. And what I did is I did enough of a stencil on a small piece of blue that I could cut a circle out. And then on the 7¼ inch square, and then put the opposite color, did a negative positive kind of thing. But I dearly love this. How simple is that? So I will be doing more of the stencil work, and I can try all different kinds of stencils. I think there are about 12 stencils in this pack. Now, some of the stencils, I used the stencils that didn't have a lot of space behind them. And then I cut out the plastic for the size of the circle. And then I hand applique the opposing circle on it. But I just love this. I love this. So what I was supposed to ask you today, I was supposed to give you a choice of 2 borders that could go on this. But I forgot to get my border fabrics. And by the time I thought about it, it was too late. So next week, I will ask you about what to do with the borders. But I thought this is smart. It and it seems to have a kind of Asian feel to it, which I love even more. But talk about an inexpensive project. I had the fabric, and all I had to do was stencil paint that I already had, baking soda that I already had. And once the paint is dry, you just iron over it, it sets it, you are done. Just acrylic paint. Now, if you want to put a little bit of textile medium in, that's a good thing, because at textile medium, it is, whoops, oh well, I pushed it too far away. Textile medium is the acrylic base that acrylic paints are made with, and just having that without the pigment helps the fabric absorb the paint, so the paint doesn't just sit on top. If it just sits on top, which in a way when you thicken the paint it does that, but you want it to kind of meld into the fabric so it doesn't flake off. So, and with all the sewing I did on that, the paint did not flake off. Yay. So, okay. So while I'm showing you what I got done this week, I painted another dot mandala. This one is called The Woman Who Had the Pattern. It's something like Nighttime Forest. I think it's like Enchanted Forest. Maybe that's it. I'm getting much better at doing these. But let me tell you what I do. And that way, if you try to do one, you won't get too upset. What I do is I paint this the best that I can. Then I come in with a fine tip black permanent pen, like a Sharpie, and I carefully, where my lines weren't smooth enough, or if the paint kind of smudged out of the way, I neaten it up. And so let me put it close so you might see areas that you can tell I went in with a marking pen and cleaned it up a little. So, is that cheating? I don't know. I don't think so, because if you did a regular painting and you didn't have something the way you liked it, you'd go in and fix it. So I'm getting better, but I do have to go in and retouch up colors. I do have to go in, like, let me show you some of the blue lines. I had to touch those up. I had to go in with a black marker, try to clean up the edge, then go in over them with new paint, trying to get it better. And one thing I wanted to show you about these is I put the finish on this acrylic sealer. It really makes the colors pop. Look at this. I mean, does that make the colors pop or what? So I am loving doing one of these. And so when it comes at the end of today's show, when I talk about what do I want to get done this week, I'll talk to you about it. I think I might put them aside for a little bit if I can stand it. I go based on what I feel, because I'm retired now. I get to do what I want. As long as the dogs are taken care of, the chickens, the birds are taken care of, Mark's happy, I can do what I want. So anyway, and Mark, oh God, he's so cute now. He has gotten this week, almost every day, he works hours on his electronic sets. And it's so great to see that, because I have read articles saying if you have a hobby, you're a happy, healthier person. And I truly believe it. At least that's what I tell myself when I keep all this stuff everywhere. I'm just staying active. So, but anyway, thought I would show you both of these. So, and they've all been sealed. I had 6 of them lying there that I sealed all at once. I get so excited about them. So I don't know what I'm going to do when the house fills up with them. Then another thing I did was, you saw where, and Becky and Katie, I got them some cute new little earrings in the other day. So I will show them that. Remember last week when I had made this paper bead necklace for Valentine's Day? And it came from Mark's Christmas bag of candy, Lindor's truffles, and he got ready to crunch it up to throw it away. And I went, "Oh, no, no, no." And I went to look at it. And what you want to see is I love the metallic color, but you also want to make sure that the metallic is backed up with paper, because just metallic doesn't stick well at all. It'll drive you nuts trying to work with it. You can probably find a glue that'll work, but just too much for me. But even with the paper backing, I use tacky glue instead of regular school glue because that will help. But I was in such a hurry to show you these for Valentine's, I didn't finish off the beads. And what bothers me is the white ends. That's what to me says, oh, I'm a paper bead. So I wanted to show you what I'm going to do with that. I have a metallic, this is a nice metallic red paint. And I put a little bit in one of my little paint trays. Then I take the bead and I carefully dip it in the paint, roll it around a little bit. It will coat the end. I blow to make sure that, it doesn't stay at this like little bubble covering it. I blow on it so that it opens up. But this is what the bead looks like once I've dipped it in red paint. I have tried so many things. I had tried taking markers in. I had tried buying the little metal caps you put on. They're expensive, so I didn't like that. But just taking them and dipping them in the paint is the best way. And now, see how much more professional they look. Rather than having this, you have that. So I will be doing that to the rest of this necklace and then restringing it. So, but I just wanted to show you that while I had it on my mind. So I'm getting stuff done. I didn't get any more cleaning done this week, but it will be in the coming up week. I will get back to it. Now, I showed you that Bonnie sent me this wonderful book. I love it. This book was written when I was 8 or 9 years old. I love that. And you can see the high price back then. Don't you love that? And I remember these being in like fabric stores near the different embroidery threads. And there are some great techniques in here. So thank you, Miss Bonnie. I keep that right upstairs with my embroidery. Now, yesterday I was trying to clean off my email and trying not to go down any rabbit hole, but I saw something that I clicked on, and when I clicked on that, it took me to something else that I wanted to click on. I found a quilt pattern that I'd love to make, but I think to make it as pretty as it should be, when we do show and tell, I'll show you a photograph of it. But here it is, and it's called Woven Stars. Isn't that pretty? Now, what I like about this is it reminds me of the quilt that I put as the placeholder on this today's video, which my daughter Becky owns, which is in her living room. And it tickles me to no end that she loves that so much. I think it's her signature quilt. And so, anyway, but this has the same basic feeling. You can use your binding tool to make this. And then look at the center. That is a 16, what is it? 16 patch star. But isn't it nice? And it has a little bit of an Art Deco look to it. So this pattern is by Nancy McNally. Nancy McNally. It's called Woven Stars. I bought it and downloaded it. It's you can download it right as soon as you pay for it. You can download it, and I think, oh, thank you. There's my Becky, and thank you. You know, this is I love when you can download a pattern immediately. Now, when I show you show and tell, and you see what this looks like with the jewel tones of the ombre fabrics, wow, it makes the quilt. It makes it magical. So this, I've got so many quilts to finish, so many quilts I want to start. I, you know, I think I need another 20 years. And then when I get to the end of that, I'll up it again. So there's so many things I want to do. Okay. Now, I've been doing the 3D hand embroidery. I told you I've been a busy girl. The one thing I'm worried about with the 3D embroidery is it's very easy to mess it up. And it's also it's so thick and plush, it would be hard to put it behind a frame. So, but I'm going to show you today how to do this flower right here and good old French knots and leaf. Although I'll give you a hint, I did the leaf backwards. See if you can see what I did, that big leaf backwards. Shadow box, yes. That up, you're getting commercials. Okay. Oh, good. Skip them. Okay, because the thing is, I've been doing this show for 8 years, and so I decided I should monetize this. With Mark being retired now, it makes me feel a little bit more nervous about buying my supplies. So I thought I'll monetize it. Well, I'm only making about 17 a month. I thought it was going to be a little more, but that was the cumulative. And they only pay you when your earnings get up to $100. I've been getting paid, I have been, what do they call it? I'm asking to be reimbursed or have ads so I can get paid since November, and I haven't gotten a paycheck yet. So what I'm going to ask you, I am monetizing these, and I'm asking for your patience. If Mark and I look at a lot of things that have almost everything has ads, what you need to look for is watch the counter. It will allow you to skip it. Sometimes it'll have a little white square that says next. As soon as it goes white, hit next. It will drop down to 4 seconds, and then you count down the 4 seconds and hit skip. You can skip it. So, and supposedly you won't lose actual content of what I'm saying. I don't know if that's fully true, but once we do this, it's all, it's all going to be, you can see it later if you missed a little spot. But I'm hoping it won't bother you too much. But I just I have done almost 600 of these videos, and I kind of would like it if, you know, I could play along with the bigger boys. And but right now I haven't even made $100 yet. So, you know, hopefully try to, I was going to not monetize the live, but it really drops down to, you know, so we'll see. Let's just see, you know. But I do apologize. I know commercials are irritating, but after 8 years, I'd love to have some compensation, you know. So, okay. And then that way I feel like I can easily, without any guilt or worry, buy more supplies to do our next great project. All right. So let's see. I think I've shown you everything. All right. I this week enlarged the pattern. This is, let me show you this. This, we're going to do what's called, what I'm calling a narrow strip landscape. I thought that looks pretty cool. And I love always looking for the new thing to try, because you learn so much by trying new skills. And you might find that one thing that's really your thing. So here is the drawing I did. And this is going to have some tree leaves. We're going to do confetti quilting for that. And it's coming like from over here. Then there's going to be a few little clouds in the sky. And then we're going to have seagulls right along here. Then here is the horizon. There's going to be a sunset hanging in here, and then it's going to echo out over the water. And I'm going to have the water a little bit choppy, because then it really reflects and it looks like gold. So, oh, and I hope I didn't miss anything. Okay. So, what then? So it's going to dapple over the water, and I'm going to actually use some gold lame for that look. Then there's going to be this pier down here, and it's going to have a great blue heron on it. Then it's going to have some sea grasses, and there we go. And I'm going to have fun with this. I noticed in one of the inspiration photos, they had real rope lining the edge of the deck. I'm going to take, in fact, I'll show you, because I've been talking about this, but I have some of this cotton roping. And what I'm going to do is just separate the plies and use this on the actual quilt. Oh, take care, Bonnie. Have fun with company, sweetheart. Bye-bye, Bonnie. So it's going to be fun, because I'm going to add some real things to it. And because I love embellishing. So I drew that. Then I said I would enlarge it, and I did. And remember, the way I enlarged it is we used the 16 block method of enlarging, and it makes it really nice. Okay, so here's the original. And what you do is you fold it this many times, making sure to crease it well. Then that will give you 16 squares, or rectangles in this case, 16. And then you do this, so you do that to the paper that you're going to enlarge it on, you do it to the original, and that way you draw just what you see in that block to the same corresponding block. Now, when I did this, all right, this and this are the same thing. And by folding this time I did it in quarters. But if you're new to it, stick with the 16. But this, I wanted to enlarge this. So I took a sheet of paper and I drew what was on this onto the sheet of paper. Now, let me do something here. I wanted to iron this because I did a folding thing on the show and it just made the paper all crunchy. Although I did do some more printing. let me see. What I did is I made all 4 pages of this, and I'm now going to tape them together. So, and I made 2 copies of each page so that one of them I can cut up, the other one I leave as the base. This is page 2. Okay, so that's an extra one. This is page 1. Aha, this is the one I'll take. And this is page 1 that I can cut up. That's right, because this got so bent up. It was like, all right. So here are the inspiration photos that I used. The tree leaves came from this one. The way I'm going to do the on the water and in the sky came from this one. The gold, where I'm going to do gold lame, came from this one and this one. I wish I could do this sky, but the sun would have to be up higher. This is the one I used for most of it, and you see the rope here along the edge of the dock. I'm going to use that, and then here is my great blue heron. So I keep these inspirations handy, and now what I'm going to do is, oh, you know what I forgot to do? I did not draw. You'll have to do these. Oh boy. I forgot to draw the line registration marks up and down here. I did everything else except this page. So what I do is I line it up good, and then I draw a circle that goes right over the edge of each page like this. And that way you can see where to line them up to tape them. So what I'm going to do right here, you can even see the lines from through the paper, because that's why I like using a good marker. So, I love when this happens. My tape let go. Let me, darn it. Let me try to feel where it, I wanted to use the clear tape, but I had no idea it messed up like this. I know what I'm going to do. Hold on just a second. Just peel this off. Pull this out. Feel for the end. Yay. Here we go. See, we're such a low budget show. Yeah, I didn't have someone make sure that the tape was in perfect condition. But, oh, and I forgot, let me tell you while I'm getting this done. Mark, this week, I saw a really cool thing that it was an embroidery hoop holder that you can clamp on the edge of your table beside your favorite chair. And yay. And that way it holds the hoop for you, which is awfully nice. Oh yeah, this got really broken. So that's why it wasn't doing right. Okay. So I just have tape to hold it together. Heaven forbid I should buy a new one. Okay, so now I line this up really good. And I put the tape on the back, because if you put it on the front, then you can't draw on it, paint on it, glue on it, nothing. So you put it on the back. Now I'm going to take the top page 1 and the page 3 and put these together. See how easy it is. Let me move this one over here, pull this one back in camera line. But you see how easy it is to line up these points. So I'm going to turn them over. And whoops, I need to do something here. I couldn't quite see this through, so I'm just going to make it darker. feel free to do these on your, make them darker so when you tape them together you can see them good. All right, so here we go. Okay. All right, so line these up like this. And get your tape and put the tape on the back. All right, so now we've got these two done. And then I'm going to take and flip these over and line up the hash circle marks. They're not really hashes, but circle marks on the back of these. That looks pretty good. All right, so here is our enlarged pattern right here. And as you can see, it is the same as this. It's just larger. Although I made one mistake. I made the pier a little wider than it should be from this, but that's okay. The thing is, I wanted the bird a little bit further over. So I wrote on your pattern, it says move, and it shows the direction. You can decide if you want to move it over or keep him near the edge. It's up to you. All right. So now I've got this. And then I've got a piece of starched muslin because this is going to be a foundation quilt. All righty, let's see. This is a foundation quilt. So what I'm going to do now is to lay this over here. And let me grab something real quickly. Here is my light box that my Becky gave me for, I think, birthday one year. And boy, do I love this thing. I use it a lot. Okay. So let me put the little adapter in. Plug it in over here. Where is my cord? There it is. Wish you could see how I've got stuff set up. Mark has a extension cord stapled to this corner of the desk so I can't lose it. And so, but it all works. Thank goodness it works. Oh, I know. So I was telling you about having a flexible arm holder for my embroidery. I'm going to bring it down next week and show it to you because it is really neat. He did a great job. I had bought an arm for this camera here, and it was too lightweight, and it would dip down, so we had to get a heavier weight one. And so he used that, and then he found a part with a clip on it, and he flattened the clip so that it would better hold a hoop. Oh, it's so cool. And I used it last night, and I can tack it right on the table because sometimes you just need that extra hand, and it acts like that. So what I'm doing now is I am taking the enlarged pattern and I'm drawing it on the muslin. Okay. So, and I'm not going to do the whole thing because that would get boring very fast. But the main thing is with these tree leaves, you want to have a lot of zigs and zags to make them really look like leaves. But what I will do, and what I should have shown you this part first. I like to take and pin the paper and the muslin, whatever fabric you're using foundation, pin it in a couple of places so that it won't move around as you have to move the like when I relocate to over here to draw, you want your fabric and your background to stay together. So this will take a little while. If you don't have one of these light boxes, then take and tape the pattern itself onto a window in the daylight, and then tape your fabric over that, and you can stand at the window and draw the pattern. So if you don't have a light like that, you can do it. All right, so that's the next step for this. Now, I don't want you to be held up this week if you want to start working on yours. And the patterns are free. They're on our Groups IO site. But I just want to show you. Okay, I'm looking at my inspiration. There's a nice deep blue above that. So I'm going to show you page, you don't really see much on page 1, but page 2, you see that deep blue. So I'm going to show you that what I want to do with one of my extra pages, you can cut it apart if you actually want to. But here, page 1 and page 2, okay? So then I'm going to need, I made my lines every every half inch, which to get my seam allowances in means I need a piece 1 inch. So then it'll finish at 1/2 an inch. So let me grab my scissors, and all I'm going to do is cut approximately. You just don't want to cut less. Okay. Then I will let me get that iron heated up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this piece to fit right here. And I just want to show you. Now, if you want to use a fusible like Steam a Seam 2 and fuse these on, you can. But what I'm probably going to do, now I did this out of sight. Sorry about this. Let me put it more like this. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to iron under 1/4 of an inch on one of the edges. Just a little 1/4 of an inch. Now, if this were going to be, you should only have to iron one edge, because, let me go ahead, hold on 1 second. Let me put these together enough to show you. Okay. Tape this enough just to show you. Flip it over. All right, here we go. So here is the ironed edge. That is probably going to go at the top, the ironed edge. Okay, so here is the deep dark blue. And what I'm going to do just to show you right now is I'm going to glue it down. And feel free to glue it down if you wish. But really what I should be doing is gluing it on top of the muslin. But right now, I just want to get you started. So if you want to play with this week, you can. Now this is going to be tricky to get off because I'm using I'm using tacky glue instead of school glue, but I just want to hold that in place. So this is going to be your first strip. Now, I want it to go further because I'm going to have some leaves over here. So let me get, all right, let me get a strip of this because my leaves are going to end up really, really dark. So I need to get an inch of this. Okay. Okay. And actually, let me pull this back off real quickly. All right. I'm going to, let me just do this real quick and I'll come right back. I'm going to sew these two pieces together. Okay. Oh, and just so y'all will know, my new sewing machine is a dream. I love that thing. The only thing that I have found, if I were to try to criticize it in any way, would be that the feed dogs have a kind of hard time picking up on the fabric at first. But that is easily worked around. But I love that machine and it works so good. Okay. So I just real quickly while I was there, I sewed this together. Now let me now take and press down this edge. But what I'm going to try to show you is you should have one pressed edge and then one raw edge because they're going to overlap. Okay. Oops. All right. So this is going to be the top. And if you stitch them together, I think you'll be happier with this. So this part's going to be the part that has the leaves on it. Then it's going to start with the darkest, deepest. Because when you're doing a landscape, the top edge of the sky is darker. It gets lighter and lighter colored as you go towards the horizon. Okay. And you'll be able to see that in these inspiration photos that it's deepest up here, gets lighter. And the reason that is because it goes through when you're looking at the edge of the sky near the horizon, you're going through a whole lot of the Earth's atmosphere. And that atmosphere dulls the color down. Okay. So when you're looking this way, you're looking all the way through all that atmosphere and it lightens the color. Okay. So here we go. Now let me just do a couple dots because I do want to be able to use this on the real deal. But you just take and do whatever shape that you want to use to join them. I kind of wanted this a little more crooked, but when it comes time to put the confetti, which is just little cut up pieces of fabric, then I will make that edge more irregular. All right, then the next layer, okay, the next layer has a good amount of sky. Okay. And it's going to have some clouds, so it might have to taper off. But I definitely am going to want a lighter shade. And let's see. Here are some really good ones. In fact, using a little bit of manufactured might be pretty good here. So, oh yeah, that would give me the way. If you look at the inspiration, see how uneven it is? So, what I will do, okay, this is lighter than that, but is it lighter enough? It might not be. What I might want to do is use, let me see. I didn't bring a wide range of blues over. This is pretty dark. Don't want to use that one. So in the meantime, I will use this. I can always change it back later. Okay. So if I look at the pattern, the next line starts some sky right here. And then it turns to that light cloudy sky here. So I have to do this piece. And in fact, what I'll do, use it from here, which makes it lighter. I have to use this piece between here and here, and it goes at an angle. All right. So now, to make the cutting of this a little easier, this is the scrap I had from doing the stencil painting. I'm going to take, and I'm going to cut an inch long piece from here. Okay. An inch wide piece right here, like this. It has to be an inch because you have to leave a quarter of an inch to fold it under and a quarter of an inch for it to be covered. All right. So get my iron and go ahead and do my quarter of an inch. And then I'm going to show you how I'm going to connect the two pieces. So I need another piece of the dark brown behind the leaves. So I'm going to get a piece here. And I love tearing my fabric, but if you don't like it, you don't have to. And I've got to make sure I have enough to go from there to there. Okay. I love this because to me, it's like you're a kid with a piece of construction paper. You're just having fun. It doesn't get much easier than this. Whoops, let me go ahead and tuck this under. Okay. Now I'm going to come over here and sew these together. And I want, okay, this is going to be here. This is going to be here. And I want to sew it. Let me get my, I don't know. I don't think this will show, but I want to sew it at a slight angle back like that. So I mark it so I'll know. You can also, I've just found the marker. So, all right. Now I'm going to come over here and sew this together. And where, even though I've tucked the piece under, just straighten it out while you get this right. I sew it at that angle. I'm hoping sometimes you have to move when I'm in a different position when you try to sew at that angle like that. But let's see. Okay, and I kind of did it just a little bit of a wonky. Let's see how this does. Let's go over and try this. Okay. Now I'm going to come back with the iron and iron that quarter inch down right there. All right, this one would go here like this. Let me pull that over. Okay, so this one would go right here. Now, don't worry. Like I said, when I go to put, I'm just going to lightly dab some spots there. When I go to put this down, I make sure it's just a half an inch below the one above it. And when we put the confetti, I'll be able to really have these edges different. Okay, so now this is the next color, sky. I'm looking to make sure it lines up with the half inch. Over here is where the sky changes color. So inside the stitching line, meaning I'll sew over here so that that gets hidden. Then I want to come here, and yeah, this piece looks really good. Right here. Okay, and I only needed a few inches long. But you can also call this collage landscaping. I love it because what you see is what you sew. All right, now this one is going to have to be at that angle. I'm going to do a little press right there. Whoops. Yeah. Okay. So I pressed it so that angle is back. That shows me. I think, you know what I do? This is where I have to start. See how I line the lines up? So if I sew along here, then when it folds back, it should fold pretty straight. Okay? So let me take this back to my sewing machine. So this really quick. This is where, when you draw the line on each side, it'll show you how you have to lay the fabric to get that angle sewn in and have it still be able to lay flat when you're done sewing it. Okay, so now let me show you what I mean by that. So in this case, laying the two angles along the lines, whoops, down here. Oh no, that came untaped. Wait a minute. Oh, here it is. Never mind. Let me get this out of the way. Too many things here. Okay. So let me show you where I think you'll be happier with this line. See how now it's got a straighter. So what I'm going to do, cut this out, bring my iron over, and I'm saving those little pieces of blue if they're less than a half inch, I won't save them, but otherwise, and I'll show you why. All right, here we go. What I've done is I've got my 1/4 inch seam allowance tucked under. I come here, I put it along here. I really like, oops, this one's too high. This got too high. Okay. Now, if you take and cut your lines apart so that you can see it more clearly, you would have to number all the lines because you will get confused. But here we go, right here. Here, let me get, this time instead of, well, I can glue the fabric to the fabric. That would be okay. I just don't want to glue it to the paper anymore. Come on. All right. But see, this is why this is fun. And if there's ever a piece that you don't like the way it came out, just pull it off, redo it. So you want to make sure you put this about where that next line is, which should be about right like this. Whoops. Okay. And some you may have to kind of force it into place. Come along here. Iron it flat. All right, so this is how we're going to do this quilt. It's going to be a little line at a time. The thing that I like about this is you can have some stray colors, you know, that work their way in, and your eye has fun putting that together. So the next line is going to be really tricky because I'm going to have this piece here, but actually I think I'm going to use a lighter color. Like I could even cut the top part of this, put this here, and then take and cut out the light parts to put where it's lighter. But this, by doing the narrow line, it gives you a lot of interest with how you stage the color. When you look at, let me grab my ruler. When you look at one line across, what do you see in that one line? And you only put what you see. And so when I have some dark clouds that I have to put in, which is probably going to, these are my dark clouds, I will sew them in a way that makes them look, that makes it work. So I'll have a light blue, then a cloud color, then light, or I guess it's going to start to get almost light blue yellow. So I'm going to be looking for my ombres that change from blue to yellow to purple and use these. But you just put your little bits of background color that you need to based on, like this is going to be tricky here. So I don't know if I want to make all these little cuts for the blue or what. I've got to figure out how to have the sky showing up in the leaves. That's why it's important to save your little bits of fabric, because I could come in for this row and put a little piece of blue between the browns. So you're trying to use your strip to show the color changes across, okay? And when it gets down to be the water, what's going to be fun with that is having the edges of the color look like they're slightly skewed. What you can even do is take and make a big piece of blue for each end, put your yellow gold in the center, then sew them together, then cut them into strips and offset them. Because that's what the water looks like. Anytime you have a reflection in the water, a lot of times painters will take the brush and go like this and smear it sideways. Or you can take and sew blue, this color, blue, then cut the lines and move them one this way, one a little bit that way, one a little bit. You see what I'm saying? That's what they did with this. Look at whatever's supposed to be brown in the water. It's offset. And that is a really great effect anytime you're going to do water. Okay. Oh, thank you, Miss Joe. Okay. Yeah, Michelle Lang is here. Oh, that's great. That is great. Okay. So I'm hoping this will give you some ideas. It is a fun thing to do because it's a little challenging. And see, it's kind of good to maybe just glue the fabrics together, but leave them loose on this. Maybe just pin it at the top so you can double check, look underneath to see what you've got. And these are the two top pages. Then you'll have the two bottom pages down here, and you start at the top and work your way down. Now, one thing that Miss Judy Lilly taught me, and she was amazing, is you can take a piece of see-through paper, or there are some golden threads papers you can see through. Cut a piece as big as this and pin it at the top. And have all of this drawn on it. So as you cover things up, you can pull that clear paper back over it and it has the whole pattern drawn on it too, so you can see exactly what goes where. That especially comes in handy when later on you'll add the birds. You're not going to add them while you're doing this. You're going to add the rope and the birds and these grasses. I've got a bunch of grasses in the bottom half. Those will all be added later. Okay? The bird will be added later. The grasses will be added later. And you're just getting in the background, the clouds, the sun, the sky, the water, and even the pier. The pier is going to be put in with the background. Then the rest of everything will come in later. Okay? So I hope that gives you some idea of what we're starting to do. And the neat thing is, by doing it in strips, it's not going to all line up. It's not going to all be perfect, but that's what gives it an exciting look. I mean, the sunset reflecting down on the water, I mean, that's what really makes it exciting. And once again, this quilt was done by Teresita Leal from Buenos Aires, Argentina. And I think that's pretty exciting. And her quilt's 31 by 40. It looks a lot longer than 31 by 40, but that's pretty cool. So ours is going to be very similar. And you can see where, now she stopped and started for the most part with square edges, but I think I want to try doing some angles. So just remember, draw the angle on each fabric, then piece it so the angles are touching. That way when you sew it, because this piece had to kind of go up this way for it to meet the lines right and go straight across. So I hope this helps. And like I said, try to print 2 of each page so you can play with one, either cutting it apart or trying different colors. You have something to play with. And then I have lots of different shades. I've got plenty of the oranges and yellows for sunsets, but I'm going to have to get a little bit more blues to work on the sky. All right, and you don't have to have sky fabric. This just happened to be the right color I wanted, but just grab your blues and go for it. On our website is also this inspiration photo, because since I took things from all of these, it will help you to see, especially this one. This is already the narrow piece landscape. I really like that. And I mean, she carries it out all the way down. Let me see if you can see it good enough. And then her post from what used to be a pier, she did that afterwards. And it looks like she even did this afterwards. I'm going to try to do ours at the same time, but we'll see how it goes. All right? All right. Well, we're going to go to show and tell. And then when we come back from show and tell, I'm going to show you how to make one of these 3-dimensional flowers and the leaves. And hopefully I'll get the leaf right this time. So I had it going the wrong direction. See this? If you turn the leaf around, it'd be perfect. So, but it's going the wrong direction. So I will get that right the second time. All right, let me get us set up for show and tell. And don't forget, if you're able to get work done on things, send me the pictures, because we love seeing them. Okay, here we go. All right. Let's see if I can get this in close enough. And then go to photographs. Yeah, I got up too late to see the snow on Wednesday, I think it was. I saw it in patches and in the backyard, but I wish I could have. Then Thursday morning, we had even more snow. So, okay, let's see. Okay. Coming up, here, this photo. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. Remember I told you I was going to show you the picture of, come on. I was going to show you the picture of that woven star. And it is in jewel tones of ombre. And they're ombre with patterns in them. Isn't that amazing? I'll have to figure out where she got that fabric and is it still available to get. But I love this quilt. So I'll have to put it on my list. I've got a couple in front of it that I have to get done. But okay, so go back to this and then show and tell. But send your pictures to Our Time to Quilt at twc.com. All right, let me see. I wonder if Bonnie has figured out how she wants to do the borders for this quilt of hers. Oh, I forgot to bring them down. I found in it was an old quilter's newsletter. I found this exact pattern. Looks so much like Miss Bonnie's. And I wanted to bring it down and show you because I picked up that magazine. It was from 2007, I believe. It is such a hoot. I mean, that doesn't seem that long ago, but so much has changed. Looking at how people were supposed to be trying to do machine quilting was a riot. Oh my goodness, these completely wooden units with the wooden ratchets. It was so cute. So, and thank goodness because everything has led us to the amazing machines we have now. Okay, so that is our Miss Bonnie's who just won a gift certificate to, what is this? What do I have? Oh my goodness, never mind. Yes, remember when I got the kit for this quilt? I, I, that, hmm, that was the one I was madly in love with and couldn't wait to do. So I've got a lot ahead of me. In fact, during this next 4 years where I've talked about sewing more than watching TV, if you get my drift, I've got a lot to work on. Okay, now, let's see. Miss Julie sent us some wonderful photos. I love this. Whoops, too big. Hold on. I've got to remember that I have a rolly wheel on my mouse that does this, but these are so pretty. This is Ron the Trapper. Isn't she talented? Very, very talented lady. And I love how she framed it. Like it's got a mat, like a piece of art, and the border, or the frame and the mat. That is very nice. Thank you, Miss Julie. She's very, very talented. Okay, then here is Todd's quilt. And I believe this is for her son. Look at the wonderful way that she hung it on that stick. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? So this is Todd's quilt. He's out on a snowy day hunting. I love how she made these, I think they call them sticks, to show plants sticking up through, dormant plants sticking up through the snow. Way to go, Miss Julie. So don't forget, if you have photos, send them to me. All right. Oh, just to show you, this is the colorway that Miss Lisa is going to do her quilt. And poor thing, she's had a couple different things go wrong. And let's hope. Let's all hope that she has a calmer year coming up. And don't forget, we had a woman at the Myrtle Beach quilt party who made her sparrows face each other like they're kissing, and that was precious. It was so cute. Okay. Now, let's see. Then Miss Mary finished her English paper piecing. And Miss Mary, I've got my English paper piecing project is supposed to have started last month, but as soon as I get my last block done, I'll be starting this year's paper piecing project. So we'll do that together too. Okay. Good job, Miss Mary. Okay. Oh, that's right. These were the this is Marcia. She sent pictures for the Austin Quilt Show. Beautiful. So we saw those a couple weeks ago. I was like, Marcia's got things in here. All right. Then Miss Melanie, she sent pictures of things she's been working on. These are fidget cuffs for people with memory problems. And I love that she does so much good work for others. Aren't they wonderful? Look at that. And she said they want many more too. So that's terrific. They say tactile things help soothe patients with memory problems. Here is her little Willow, who you'll notice in the next couple of pictures stays right beside her, even as she's sewing. Isn't that cute? She really hadn't thought of getting a dog until her husband surprised her for her birthday 2 years ago. And it has been the biggest blessing in her life. And this is what her husband actually did. He is really learning. He's mastering his new hobby. Isn't that great? I love that. So they can work together. All right, way to go. Thank you, Miss Melanie. All right, now let's see. Since Miss Mitty was here, what? Oh, yes. I was telling her, in fact, on this quilt we're working on now, I'm going to use some upholstery fabrics because they give a wide range of texture to quilts. So she sent a picture of one of her clients' quilts in her home that has upholstery fabrics. And upholstery fabrics can do a lot of work, the heavy lifting and carrying for you. So thank you, Miss Mitty, for that. All right, now let's see. Where am I going? Oh, Patricia Fry. I love this. Miss Patricia, she's you can tell she loves her home. And so she has this wonderful toy truck, ancient antique toy truck that she uses to decorate for the seasons. Isn't that precious? I love that. I know your family loves it too. I tend to forget to put mine up, but that's beautiful. Y'all inspire me. Thank you for that. Okay. So that was Pat's. And let me see. I think we're just about out. So I'm going to need some new photos. And since he was here today, there is Becky's sweetheart Andy and his brother, and they were visiting for Thanksgiving. So wonderful picture. And of course, that's Seiko, amazing dog. That's his mom, Mary. So how wonderful. Okay, so now let's head back. I love this woven star quilt. Got to work on that sometime. That will keep me inspired to hurry up and get some of my other projects completed. I'm I've got a goal now where I want to keep a piecing project going, one or two hand projects going, and keep a quilt on the frame. at all times. And that way I can get more done. Sorry if that made noise. Okay. Any questions? Oh, thank you, Miss Joe. You're such a dear heart. Okay. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to try to show you how to do some of this hand embroidery. There are some more hand embroidery techniques that I do want to try, but I'm going to put a caveat because the 3D, they're so vulnerable. And maybe I'm just a bull in a china shop, which I have to agree I can be. But I have nicked and pulled threads on what I've already done here, which just, whoops, don't drop it. Don't drop it. It just breaks my heart when I do that because I'm trying so hard to get the stitches even. And so then when I turn around and nick it or pinch it or pull the threads out of shape, I feel like, well, I undid my good there. That was my remote control. Okay. So let's see if I can use this. I try to keep an assortment of needles handy. I'm getting better and better at hiding my knots and stitches, trying to be more mature and have a prettier, oh, let me get this under it, have a prettier back. It doesn't look that pretty, but anyway. So let me bring this down so I can show you. Whoops. Come on, little cord. Okay. All right. So I'm going to bring this down here where I've got good light and show you what I'm doing. All right. I'm going to let me move these down just a wee bit. Let me move some of these. The thing that I do love about embroidery is you use great big needles, which helps with my great big hands. And here we go. Let's see. Putting this on, pulling it taut, and tightening this down. Okay. It really helps to keep it taut, I'm finding, when you try to do these three-dimensional stitches. All right, so what I'm going to do is you come in from the top, okay? And did I tie a knot? Let me see. Okay. You come in through the top. Whoops. Okay. And you put a knot there. Then you do two tiny stitches. Two tiny stitches, which anchor your thread. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do the stem. So you come up and do like a back stitch. Then you come up beside it, just past the center, somewhere like this, and kind of come up from barely underneath. Then go up, try to keep an even stitch length for both stitches. Now, if you want to do it faster, this is a traditional stem stitch, and I will be showing you some others coming up. Okay. And sometimes I'm now starting to use all 6 strands because it just makes the result better and faster. Okay. It's funny now that you can get cheaper brands of floss and that people are using pearl cottons and things. They don't mind using the full 6 strands. It's not costing quite as much. All right. So now what I do to make this faster is I'll come and get ready to do this stitch. And I'll put it here. And then I'll take and go halfway back here, right there. I just do it at one time. So see how, and that's a lot faster. And I'm all about economy with money or with time. So you see how much faster doing a stem stitch like this is. Okay, you come up here. All right. So there is the stem. I wish if I had thought about it, I wish I had started up here, gone down this way, then I'd be right where I need to do my leaves. But I didn't think about it. So what I'm going to do is on this side, I'm going to make some little stitches to kind of work my way back down. You can just go behind and then come up back down there, but often it leaves your threads vulnerable to being caught if you just had this straight thread down. And you want to make sure you never see it through the fabric. So I'm just kind of quietly working my way back down to the leaf. All right. All right. And then I'm going to work my way. Let me see. I did this one backwards. So all right. Let me see. So what I'm going to do is do a stitch here. A stitch to this edge of the leaf. Then come over top here and do a stitch and go back over to this side of the leaf. And then I come back here and do a stitch to this side. Then come back up. Now I'm going to come up in between those last 2 threads. This is going to give a woven look, which I think is real pretty. Come back over to this side, then come back up between these 2 threads and go back over to this side. And you just do this all the way down, and it leaves an interesting little woven area down where your stem would be. So, and in fact, it recreates that stem. And now I'll be going the right direction when I get down to the tip of the leaf. At least I think I will. I have only done a tiny bit of hand embroidery in my lifetime, and it was years ago. And you remember when I told you I did crewel work with real wool that was dyed by vegetable dye? And I opened it up about 5 years ago and found that the moths had eaten away all the vegetable dyed wool. Oh, and I can't get that now. It was a special kit that came from um, Plymouth Plantation. I'll never get that again. So I guess I could just use floss just so I would have it. Okay. So this is very simply how you do a leaf. And as you see, it makes a nice little stem down the center. I love things that have a little more texture and just a little bit more interest when you're working on these, and try to keep your stitches going unless you want your leaf maybe to have a curve, but otherwise try to keep them in a pretty good straight line. But based on where I come up between these threads, I could actually put a curve into it. So there we go for this. And you just keep going until the end, just making sure you anchor it at the end. And sometimes I go up and just do an outline stitch around it. It's entirely what you want. If you keep your edges pretty even, and so far I'm doing pretty good. And this is a water soluble pen that I'm using that it's very easy. I've already pre-tried it. You can get it out really easy with a damp little cloth. But I'm keeping the edges pretty straight and even, so I might leave it like that. All right, so now let's go and try the flower here. All right. I'm going to, let's see. I use the whole 6 strands, which makes it pretty good because I'm not good at separating strands. I find that they get very tangled. So I need to learn. I'll have to ask Miss Bonnie, how in the world do you separate strands without losing your mind? Whoops. Couldn't find the I for good reason. It was a wrong end. All right. Oh, and I can go back here, take away that knot that I first put because I did the 2 anchoring stitches. And okay, I'm going to go ahead and put a little knot here. Just little 2 times around the needle, and then carefully slide it down to the end of the thread. And I don't like my thread to be too long, so I'm going to pull it more even. All right, so I'm going to start off the actual flower and come up in the center. You want to put your 2 anchoring stitches where they're going to be covered by other threads. Like this. Okay. Now for this particular flower, on the top of each petal, you make a stitch that's about 1/8 of an inch long. I don't want to make them too big because I want to be able to fill that up. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Then down this end, another 1/8 of an inch long stitch here. And then come up here. I should have come up a little closer. Let me see. Let me try this again. All right, come up close to this one. And what you're going to do here is you're going to go under this here, this little thing I made, then come down and go under this little, it's like a bar tack. Okay, 2 little bars at the top and bottom of each petal. And just keep going around and around. And I prefer not to tug my stitches too tight, but try to make them pretty equal. And just keep going around and around until you fill up those little bars. Okay, so it's getting pretty full. Let me go through one more time. It's better probably to make it a little more full than to make it not full enough. All right. I'm going to hold that so I can lengthen my thread. Then what you're going to do is just come down here and plant it. Plant your needle. And sometimes you kind of have to play with them a little bit. And then from there, you can go back and make a bar for the next petal. And make a bar here. Then come through here. Make another bar. And then go around and around with this one. So, and try to come up. You can come up just on whatever, either side of these little bars. Now, if you're having a hard time, and like right here, it might be better to put the back end of the needle through so it's not as sharp, it's bigger, and it's less likely to get caught when it goes through. It's up to you, whatever way you like. A lot of times I'll just put my hand on this one, then that way I can go around and around. It's not a problem. But just either way works. And make sure it's not too tight. And just, whoops, pull out that thread. You just want to keep your tension even. That's one of the reasons I did a stitch through at the bottom to try to keep the threads from catching and pulling the tension off. So, now, all right, I'll go around one more time, then I'm going to show you what you do for the center of the flowers. Whoops. I saw a cool thing. Let me see if I can remember to show you. This is how we can see if it actually works. I saw someone on one of these YouTube things, and he took and put a piece of tape on the thread. I'm going to fold this over like this and then trim off the extra tape like that. And then there you go. So it does work. That's a good one to remember. All right. So let me pull this a little tighter. Let's see if I have enough thread to show you a sample. Oh, now there's a problem though. You really need to, oh, that wasn't too hard to pull off. Okay, that wasn't a problem. All right. So for the center of these flowers, you would come up with your needle like this, and that's going to be real tight with this thread. And you're holding the needle with this tail. You just wrap twice over the needle. Then you hold that snugly, kind of pulling it taut till you get the, whoops, I didn't pull it taut right. Well, I tell you what, let me see. If I loosen this, it might work. But I'm trying to do it too tight. What you want to do is you wrap the thread, but hold it tight while you pull the needle through, and then you can let go, and it'll make a very nice, this is not going to make a pretty French knot, but I was too worried I was running out of thread. So I will make you another one next time, but just know when you wrap it twice, you've got this thread loop here. Wrap it twice, hold onto this, pull the needle through, then you can let go, and it will make a nice French knot like these. And it's fun. I use 3 different colors to make the little top part of the flower, and that was a lot of fun. So here is what I'm learning. I almost thought about telling you, no, I don't think that 3-dimensional embroidery is working. But then I saw some more examples, and I realized that you've got to be careful about having things that stick out from the fabric, because if they're caught, it will pull threads like these. So you've got to handle it differently, and I've seen a few others that I like pretty good. But this is coming along. Now, I'm going to work on these 2 flowers, stems, and leaves this week. Next week, I'm going to teach you, these are going to be yellow roses. And these are pretty cool, pretty easy, pretty cool, kind of going along with this whole bar system. So we'll do yellow roses that will finish this one. And then we'll make another one and start doing some more techniques. And I'm trying to learn them as I go so I can teach you. And but there are some amazing channels with 3-dimensional embroidery. Just if it looks like it's going to be a problem, it's going to be a problem. But then I saw a woman make the most beautiful wisteria, and that's not going to be a problem. And because it's anchored enough that it won't pull loose. But let me bring you back up. Okay. All right. So let me hold this up for you to see. And I think it's coming along. I think it's going to look nice. I also found a woman who talked about how to finish off the backs of her custom hand embroidery. And so as we get to the end of this, I'll tell you what that system was. So, all right. I think it's going to turn out to be right pretty. And as we explore this, we're going to explore what does it really look like if you use 2 different colors of floss, strands of floss at the same time, giving more depth. And in fact, I might start doing it with this flower that we started today. And then I'll show you this leaf and how much prettier it looks now that I'm doing it the right direction. So you do have to think sometimes about, okay, how do I get this to work? And I'm just right now keeping this in a little baggie, all my supplies, and it's right there beside my table. Makes it very easy to say, oh, time to get to work. All right, the last thing that to talk to you is just our newest segment, which is what am I going to do this week? And because I end up being more productive if I plan out my week ahead. If I kind of go with the flow, I can get lost on that little thing called the computer, and then a whole day can go by. But for this week, I want to finish the New Year's mystery that I started, because I've been wanting to get that done the last few weeks. Then I want to decide on Where is that sun? Oh, it's coming through the door over there. Look at that bright patch on that quilt. I want to decide what I'm going to do with the sparrow border. And do I want, I think what I might end up doing, since I'm leery of entering new colors onto that quilt. Oops, hold on. I gotta ask Mark how we can make this stick in better. Oh, hold on, because I don't want the camera to die and then and it's a plug that supplies power to the camera. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with just doing and I don't even know if I'm going to make it different color threads. I think I'm just going to, as part of the quilting thread, I'll match the background and I'll do branches and leaves around the border. And I think that just a subtle touch. When I make my next sparrow quilt, because I will make another one of these, when I make my next one, I'm going to have a wider border and do applique, branches, and leaves all the way around the edge. So I'll know ahead of time to make sure those colors are introduced somewhere else in the quilt. So, all right, I think we have it. Oh, so I'm going to finish the New Year's mystery project. I'm going to put the border, the inner and outer border on the sparrow quilt because I can't wait to get it on the quilt frame. Then I'm going to put, whoops, that, my stencil, rainbow stencil. I want to get that border decided, which I might do with you next week. So I have a feeling the sparrow quilt will go on the quilt frame first. But then after that, I want to get the stencil quilt top put on the frame. And I have no idea how I'm going. Most of the time, when I say I'm going to put a quilt on the frame, I have no clue what I'm going to do. I just kind of sit there and think about it. So then I want to finish my daughter's and Nikki's Christmas swirl quilts done and get her stuff mailed. And the pattern prizes will get mailed out. And I still haven't gone to get my hearing aids calibrated again. So I've got to go back and do that. For fun things, and I've got to keep pushing to walk now that the weather's going to get nicer. I think I'll be able to get out there and walk. And then for fun, I think I'm in the mood to work on some paper beads. And then I want to start working again on my bobbin lace. And I haven't done that in months and I miss it. And I'll try very hard to do that instead of making another dot painted mandala, because that tends to be my go-to thing. But I want to touch other things too. And so what are you going to think about doing this week? In fact, one of the things I did today is I brought all my favorite snips. I have 3 pairs of these. They're really good for arthritis because they have a spring in them. There's a spring in them, so you just have to squeeze. You don't have to use your fingers to open them like regular scissors. So I have been sharpening all 3 pairs of those that I have because sometimes we tend to forget to take good care of the tools. We start to cut something with them and oops, we got a problem. So anyway, but now this is the last pair I needed to sharpen. I'm finding with my arthritis getting so much worse that I don't use the big scissors as much unless I'm really hand cutting a large piece because it is just too hard. It's too hard for my sore hands to do it. So these little snips are gold for me. Fiskars makes them and they are worth it. And that's why I have 3 pairs, because I keep a pair, and thank goodness for the Fiskars scissor sharpener, but I keep the 3 pairs, one at each place I sew. one by my hand sewing spot in the living room, and the other two at the upstairs or downstairs machine, so that I've got what I need where I need it. All right, everybody. Whoops. I guess I dropped my remote. So, because I realized all of a sudden I am okay. So there we go. Y'all are very special to me. Thank you for being here with me for another day. And thank you for spending this time with me. Polly's here. Oh, thank you, Miss Polly. You're so sweet. Guys, it's good to see you all. Have a great, great week. And if it gets a little warmer where you are, get out and enjoy it too. And I shall see you next Sunday. And let's hope I have another good, productive week, because it feels great. And I actually kept up with the housework too. Not bad. I tell you what, having somebody retired really helps with that. So I love it. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Take good care of yourself. Do something. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I went to see Wicked. Mark and I finally went to see. Of course, I was in tears at the end. Being an underdog myself, I very much root for the underdog. And it was a wonderful movie. So do something great just for you, okay? Bye-bye, everybody. See you next week. Send me your photos of your snow, of your things you're working on, fun things in your life. Take care, everyone. We're going to hang in there together. Y'all are the best. Thank you for my moderators, Marcia and Miss Jo. Thank you so much. And thank you all for coming to visit. Bye-bye, everyone.